Watch the ride.
Hey everybody, hope you're all doing alright out there. So, I recently in a random video talked about a movie and I had a couple of people actually respond to it, which is interesting because you guys don't comment as much as you used to. It's, you know, it's kind of weird. It's nice to have a bit back and forth with the people you make the videos for. But anyway, I was talking about the movie Everything Everywhere All the Time and saying about how much I liked it. And I was like, well, you know what, there's a couple of movies I've seen recently which... one of them is an obvious thing, but there's a few comments I want to make about it. And another one is something that kind of goes against the grain, it would seem. But I think people should give it a chance because it's interesting. So we'll get to it. So the first movie I want to talk about is Dune, as in the first remake. I've seen the original, the old 1980s, and 1985 I think it was original. And I've just recently watched the new one. Not the second one, the new one. And I have to say, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a long film, but it doesn't feel like it. The storyline of it is very good. The visuals, everything about it is good. The are they called orthocopters? I can't remember. It's when it flies like a real animal. They got these like dragonfly helicopter type things. Coolest thing ever. I mean, when I first saw the trailers for the film, and a couple of years ago, however long ago it was when that film's trailers came out, I think it was insane, that design of that machine. And yeah, I'd love to get a model one of those, but it would just be another thing that sits on a shelf and takes up more space. So I'm not going down that line. I even thought about making one out of scrap metal, but of course it would take a long time and worth me doing. So I just appreciate it in the movie. So yeah, Dune, I'd like to know what you think about that. But what is also quite funny about Dune is how much it highlights how kind of bad the first film was. I know it was of its time. I know it's old. I know that. But the outfits and stuff like that were, I mean, the CGI, well, not CGI, but the special effects in it weren't even that bad. They were amazing. But some of the acting, some of the just costumery and stuff is very funny. I'm not trying to hate on it. I know many people have really enjoyed that version of the film, and having a new one that looks better doesn't take anything away from the fact that in the past they didn't have the same technology. I'm ever going to get out of here. But objectively, the new movie is a much better telling of the tale in movie form. So yeah, let me know what you think about the new Dune. I haven't seen the second one yet, so no spoilers. I know it's coming out very soon. That is something that is kind of odd though. I put off watching it for ages because it was a long film, like I'm doing with Oppenheimer. And then me and Reno decided to just watch it. And then I was like, oh, when's the second one out? I'm actually kind of interested now. And it was in like 5 days of me looking at that. And I'm like, oh, okay. Has the marketing just won perfectly with me there somehow? You've got me interested just before the second film comes out. Nice. Anyway, the second one, which is a Netflix film, is Spaceman with Adam Sandler. Now, I know Adam Sandler, for some reason, is a very dividing person. His movies, at least. I think he makes some very funny comedy films. There are some that are absolute classics. Waterboy, Happy Gilmore. You could go on. There is lots and lots of his comedy films which are absolutely legendary. And it's way beyond a cult thing. I don't know actually. I assume most people have seen Happy Gilmore at this point. It's funny basic stuff, but they were good. But he does kind of do the same sort of comedy, whatever he's doing. It's the same sort of character and jokes. So I can get, if you don't like him, you're not going to like anything he's in because he's very much sort of the same. He is Adam Sandler. But when he does a serious film, people really don't like it, and I can get that. But this recent movie, Spaceman, but I know this is in the trailer. Let's just say, is a guy in space on his own, and then a giant spider appears inside of his space vehicle and starts talking to him. This is actually a story about self-realization, about reflection, about life, death, love, all sorts of things, relationships. It's a very interesting film, and it's funny in places, and it's unique. That's the point. I really like unique, one-off sort of standout films. You get the films of something's on board a spaceship with people and it's out to get them. You always get that. That's the classic. Life and Alien and lots of other things. you don't get one of those creatures appear on board and want to communicate and just talk, deal with their almost human-esque problems. And maybe that's the point they're trying to make here, is that universally we all have the same problems. It doesn't matter what background you're from or even what planet. We all deal with the same sorts of problems, and that's what I think this movie's trying to sort of negotiate with and make people maybe reflect on their own actions and how that can have negative effects on their own lives and people around them and stuff like that. It's, as I say, I started out talking about, large spider appears on board spaceship, and you're like, Adam Sandler, what? Oh, that sounds no, it's good. Now, there's a couple of moments in the writing where it's like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. They know they need to get the vehicle from A to B, and they don't know how they're going to do it, so they just kind of say, we did it this way. And that's like, but wouldn't it have been better to do X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D, and all these other things? And you're like, well, all right, fine. We're going to have to ignore that and move on through the film. Little things like that, logic holes and plot holes, do pull me out of films, and that for a moment did, but I kind of got past it pretty quickly because I was intrigued by the uniqueness of this film. I wanted to, sometimes you watch a film for a story, sometimes you watch a film because you want to watch it as a film. And I very much do watch films as films. I'm not watching it as a story that I'm looking to get entirely engrossed like it's real life. I always think about the cinematography and the writing and the ideas and why they got to do this, why they went from here to there, and that to me is far more interesting than just watching it as a movie. And for that reason I find it difficult to watch really vacuous, pointless films, because the whole time I'm just going, doesn't make sense, that's stupid, why would you do this? I do love that little roundabout. Slow speed fun. Especially when you got like a big box of Coke and a bunch of shopping on you. So as I say, I strongly recommend watching Spaceman and giving it an honest go and then seeing what you think of it. I would love to know what you've thought of it if you watched it. Try not to give spoilers away in the comments. If you didn't like it, that's fine. You can say why you didn't like it. I think very often we find that the reasons that we like films and other people dislike films are the same thing, and that's just a taste thing and a flavour thing. So I can totally get if you don't like it, but I think as a piece of cinema, as a film which is a bit different to everything else, it's an interesting take. If there's any other films you'd like me to talk about or you think I should see, then do comment below, and maybe if I've seen them I'll say seen it, and maybe tell you what I think of it in a very short way. But otherwise, yeah, if you enjoyed the video, like it, please subscribe if you're new here, and if you want to help support my channel, please consider doing that through Patreon. I'd really appreciate it, and a massive thank you to all of you, those of you that do. Bye bye.